Um, okay, hello, and then welcome once again to today's episode of Multimedia and Web Design. It's been a while since we embarked or we started this playlist, and today happens to be an episode of the playlist as well. Okay, so today we're going to talk about something called version control systems, right? So let's take this scenario, or let's have a look or a deep thorough in this scenario. Let's say there is a huge project coming up, and then we are to undertake this project as an organization, right? And then let's say developers who are to undertake this project are all over the globe or all over the world. We have people at some part of the world, let's say America, some developers at China, and then let's say I am also part of the developers, and then I happen to be in Ghana. Do you think we should just find a place to meet and then start collaborating to this project, or start developing this app, or whatever we want to come up with? No, it's not possible. It's possible though, but it doesn't really make much effort in this scenario, right? So this is where version control systems cometh in. So version control systems was developed because of all these stuffs. It helps us as developers collaborate in projects. It keeps track of projects, code base. We host these code base on these systems based on our performance or based on development of our codes and a whole lot, right? So in this episode we are going to talk about Git as a version control system, right? So Git is basically a version control system. It helps us manage our code, keeps track of it, and then helps us know people or developers around this code who developed this site, what time, when, and then what type of amendment or something he did or regards to the code, right? Yeah. And then we are going to use GitHub to as a development site for this. So like the Git is a version control system, right? And then the GitHub is basically the let's say cloud for hosting these Git services. Okay, so before that we have to install our Git. Like you would have to get your Git installed on your local machine, and you would have to get an account on the GitHub. So let me open my terminal here, make it big for everyone to see. So how will you know you have Git installed on your local machine? We can do something like git version. Yeah, so I'm currently using the 2.34.1 version. Yeah, so this means I have Git installed on my local machine. You can do something like this too. So when we get all these chunks, it means we have Git installed on our machine. Yeah, so let's have a look into this right here. Okay, so this is my GitHub account. Okay, let's have some exploration right here and then have a look at what this says. So okay, so we have this project right here. Okay, this project AP6 or something. Yeah, it's an ongoing project. Okay, and then when you come here you would be able to view all these comments. All these were collaborations made by developers all around the world. Okay, so someone did some commitment 4 days ago, someone did his 2 days ago, so we can actually look into it. So where the red lines are the codes he or she extracted from the code base. Okay, so it was omitted from the code base, and then where we have the green lines to where the codes that was added into it. So these are the new codes which was added to the code base. Okay, and then the red ones were the ones emitted out of the code. Yeah, so this is an example of all these are commitments made by people. All these are contributors, different contributors. It might be same, it might be different, it depends. Okay, yeah, so we take this scenario, all these lines were removed from the code base, and then these were added to it. Same happens to this one too. Commits on the 8th February, and yeah, same thing happens here. Okay, so how can we achieve this? We can do this by ourselves. I mean, we can also collaborate on such projects and then do same regards to the project or regards to whatever changes we are gonna do to our code base. So let's come here and then have some hands-on projects or some hands-on tutorials here. Before that, let's create some folder and then have our things all in. So let's make a directory called, let's say, how should I even know? Okay, so let's say project 1 here. Sorry, before that, let's go to the desktop and then let's make this directory at the desktop. Okay, so project 1, and let's go into the project. CD project 1. Okay, so right now we are inside our project 1. Okay, and then there is nothing inside the project. As we can see, we did the lists and then nothing is in the project currently, or nothing happens to be in the folder that we are working in it. Okay, yeah, so first of all, we can, to keep track of this file, we can do something called git init, and then this actually initializes an empty repository. When we talk about repository, it's basically a folder. Okay, so the folder that we can actually host our codes in it. I mean, our codes remotely in it. So when I talk about repository, it simply or basically means a folder. So when you do something like git init, it simply tells the terminal to initialize an empty git repository in the local directory that we are in. Okay, so when I click enter, we can actually see that we have this information given to us by the terminal right here: initialized empty git repository in, and then this is the current path, or this is the path of the directory that we are in. So we could see there is something called .in. Okay, so let's do the list, and there's nothing in this folder still, but there is a folder or a repository in called the .git. Okay, so this repository isn't visible to us. Okay, this is this simply means that there is no need to make an amendment to this repository. That is why the developers made it unvisible to us or invisible to us. Okay, so we can do something like git a, which shows all hidden files. So we can see there is a .git file folder here. Okay, we can actually go into it, cd .git, .git, and then we list things in it. So we have all these which are invisible to us in the .git folder. Okay, so when we are hosting our code on the cloud, we can actually do the ls to see all these too, and then all these have meanings to it. Okay, we have the hooks, info, object, refs, config, description, head, and then branches. Okay, so let's come back, and then yeah, we've actually initialized our empty git repository. So what are we going to do? Let's have something in our folder. Okay, so let's create some dummy files in it. So touch file 1.txt, and then let's echo something. Let's say hello world into file2.txt. so we actually have two files in the current folder or in the current directory that we are in, right? So file1.txt, file2.txt. let's add additional file to it, or echo what should we echo all all these are in git commands into what file 3 dot csv. okay, so we can actually see we have 3 files currently in our directory. Okay, so how do we know these files are being tracked by the Git system or our version control system? Currently these files aren't tracked by the version control system. Okay, how can we know that? We can do something called git status. Okay, so we have a couple of things right here on branch master. Okay, so we are on the branch master. The branch simply means, it's also, the branch is also a folder, right? So the folder our files are being kept tracked on. Okay, so there's no commitments or there's no commit yet. We have on track files. Also, all these are files, the files that we created recently are on track. That is why they have these red colors. Okay, so nothing to add or nothing added to commit, but on track files present, and then blah 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 blah. Okay, so we have all these files on track. How can we keep them tracked? We can do something called git add, and then here we come. We can actually specify the individual names of the file. So we can do file 1.txt, txt file 2.txt, file 3.txt, so .txt to add all these, or we can actually do something like git add .on. So like this actually adds everything in the current folder. So we normally use this though, but when you're actually on a bigger project that you want, you don't want anything or most things shouldn't be added to or shouldn't be kept tracked by the initialized git file, you shouldn't be doing this. Okay, because this conversion actually adds everything in the current directory to the git file. The gits will be keeping track of it. So but in our case, there's nothing that we don't want people to see or we don't want to be kept tracked by the git version control. So we can actually do this exactly. Okay, or you can do something like, let's say, everything with the .txt file. This is also possible. This is also add everything in it. So you can actually do this, and then we do our git status. Now we can actually see that git status give us something which is different from what came initially. Okay, so all these are now in green colors. So it says no commits yet. Yeah, it was actually in the previous message that outputted to us. And then changes to be committed, we have all these files. Our file 1, our file 2, our file 3, right? So right now our files are being staged. Okay, but we've not committed them yet. So we are actually, we've actually kept them tracked by the Git control system or the Git version control. Okay, but we've not committed it yet. So let's say when other people are viewing the project, though we've actually added these files to the version control system, but they cannot see it. They wouldn't be able to view that we have added something like this to the project. Okay, so in order to do that, we can do something called, or a command called git commit m, and then in this quotation marks we will output whatever message with regards to what we did. Okay, so let's say we created file 1, file 2, and then file 3. Okay, and then we actually created file 1, file 2, file 3. So the message that you would output in this quotation marks or regards to this project should be meaningful, and then should be should be actually concerned about what you did about the project. Okay, so we can actually do something like added or created file 1, 2, we. Okay, yeah, so right now we've committed all these files to the repository, okay, the Git repository, so they can actually be viewed on the Git repository. We've not pushed yet, okay, but they are actually being committed and then they are being kept tracked by the Git repository. So in this case, people can actually see what is going on with changes that we've made. So you can actually have a look at these messages. They say 3 files changed, 2 insertions. Okay, so we created 3 files, right? That is why this message came, 3 files changed. And then the insertions that we made were when we inserted the message. I mean, we created this file and inserted message in them, right? Hello world into file 2.txt, and then we came here. All these are in git command into file 3. Yeah, so that is why we have these 2 insertions right here. Okay, so let's do something before we push. Let's do something else. Let's do echo. Let's do hi, my name is Nana, yeah, into file 1.txt, and then let's do git status, so we can actually see something right here, something that is going on right here. Okay, we can see that they are saying we modified file 1.txt, which is actually true. We made some amendment to it. I mean, we inserted something into our file 1. Okay, so we can view that right here. Let's say cut file 1.txt. We added this, hi, my name is Nana, and then it is not being kept track by the Git file, okay, or the Git version control system. Okay, because we actually committed or added these files before we made these amendments to the particular file we changed previously. Okay, so all these that we made were previously made. Okay, they were previously made or they were previously actually committed to the version control system. But what we did right here is in part, Git doesn't automatically detect modified files or modified project, whatever it is. Okay, so since we've actually made changes to this file, we have to manually commit these changes, or we have to manually add these changes in order for our Git version control system to be able to keep track of what is actually going on in this file. Okay, so let's see. We can do git add. We can actually do git add all to do the exact thing, or we can specify the file that we amended here, right here, to it. Okay, but they are all same. So let's do git status. Sorry. So let's do git status, and then we can actually see what is going on right here. We added this. That is why we've had this message here. Initially it was outputted in a red color, right? But right now we can actually see it's being outputted in a green color, meaning we've actually added it, or we've actually staged it to the Git repository. So we can now go ahead and commit it. Let's add a meaningful. So file, we can do something like file 1 was file 1 was updated or something. Yeah. So we can see file changed. We modified or we amended just one file, which is the file 1 in this case, and then we inserted something in. That is what we did right here. What is it? Yeah, that is why we did right here. We echoed hi, my name is Nana, into file 1. Okay, so we modified it right here. This is what it is telling us. We changed just one file and then we made one insertions right here. Okay, so right now when you do get status, we can actually see that there is nothing to commit, working 3 clean. So we've actually staged and then committed all our working files to the Git repository. So we don't have anything to commit again. We don't have anything to output to the other developers to see. So we're actually working on a clean tree, right? Yeah. So let's do a couple of changes and see what is actually going on. Let's say echo, or no, let's vim into vim file 2.txt. Let's see what's actually going on. Yeah, so let's try again. Okay, so yeah, let's go. So this is the new trend in the technological world. Okay, so yeah. So let's do our git. We've actually made changes to one file. Okay, or let's make another changes to file. We did 1 to file 1. Okay, and we've done file 2. Okay, so let's do file 3. Okay, so many things to be talked about into file 3.txt. Okay, so let's do our get status and see what is going on. So we've actually modified file 2.txt and then file 3.txt. So how are we going to get it being tracked? Simply do add. We can specify the names of the file as I said earlier. We can do dots to add everything. Okay, so git commit, we output our meaningful information. So we file 2 and 3 up. Sorry, so you can see here 2 files were changed, 4 insertions were made, 1 deletions. Okay, so we actually deleted something up there. That is why this deletion sign is coming here. So we can actually see what is going on here. Now we have nothing to commit. We're actually working on a clean tree right here. So what if we want to delete something in what we've actually committed? How are we going to do that? We can remove, let's say, file 1.txt. Let's get ls file. So let's do ls get okay. So we've actually removed, let's do get status to see what is going on. Okay, so yeah, right here, so we updated something. We deleted file 1. Okay, we deleted file 1.txt, but then the file 1 is still being staged. Okay, the file 1 is still being kept track by the version control system. Okay, so how do we actually remove this? We can actually do the git add and then specify the name of the file1.txt. okay, so we do get status right now. You can see we did this. Okay, we deleted file1.txt, and then we can go ahead and then commit it to make sure everything is being updated. So deleted file1.txt. okay, so one file changed, one deletion, deleted more, so we can see the status. We are not working on a clean chain. There's nothing to commit, nothing to, yeah, we can see everything is moving on right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and then create a repository to actually push our file or our project to Git. Okay, so you can do that by coming to our accounts right on the GitHub. Okay, we are actually doing that on the GitHub, so you can do that here. We have a new, and then we give the name of the project, so we can do it demo DCIT-205. there we go. So yeah, it's available. We can give it a description here, which is optional. We wouldn't do that. We can actually specify whether our projects should be hosted publicly or privately. Now, when it's hosted publicly, anyone on the internet can see this once they come across to it, or once they visit the particular accounts of the GitHub or of the repository. Okay, they can actually view it, view the codes and everything, but they cannot make any changes to it. Okay, yeah, you can actually add a readme to it, a get ignore templates, blah blah blah. So yeah, all these options are there for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our repository, and then yeah, voila, we have our repository created. Now, by convention, this is the same as what they've given us here. Okay, the URL. So how can we actually, let's copy that and then come back to our terminal. How can you actually link this file or this project? We should know we are hosting this project locally on our machine, right? Yeah, so how can we actually link this project to our remote file that we've created on the GitHub? We do that with the command git remote add origin, and then we paste the URL that we copied, right? Yeah, so yeah, everything worked through. So this is what it means. Git remote means we are actually working from a URL, or the remote here actually means a URL, and then we are adding the name of the URL, which is by convention giving origin to every URL that we host on our page on GitHub. Okay, and then we add the link to our repository on GitHub to this, so we can actually check whether this link was actually successfully established in our local repository or our local project. Okay, so we can do that with git remote -v, and then yes, it was actually successfully established. So we can see that right here, that we have this link right here, origin, that is the name of our repository upstream or repository on the cloud. So we have the origin and we have the name of the file or of the URL right here. We can fetch here, okay, and then we can also push to the exact or the same repository. So when we click on this repository, it actually leads us to the repository that we created on GitHub. So we've successfully added our link to our local projects. Okay, so we can actually push these changes that we've made to the remote directory, right? So let's try that. So git push, we are pushing our code here. Git push to where? To our origin. That is the name of the repository that we are pushing it in. Okay, and then we add the branch to it. So here we have the branch name master. So it's requiring, or it's it wants a name of the host. So here child is, and then my password. The password is actually the token that we've generated. I don't know if you know something about token. So where is my token? Let me go to the recent files and then search token. Okay, yeah, so there we go. So yeah, I've actually generated 3 tokens so far. So I copy it. Okay. And I paste it right here as my password. And then you go, yeah. So yeah, we've actually been able to push our code here. So when we refresh it right here, voila, you can see that here. Okay, so that is what it means to. So we can see everything that we did here. Okay, you can come into the file 3. So all the things that we did were here. We can add the readme too, but we can actually also add the readme to the, or we can add the readme here in or on our local machine right here. Okay, so yeah, we've actually been able to push our files to the GitHub. But yeah, though we've pushed the code, we've pushed everything to the GitHub, but we still have the ability, or we can actually still amend or append something to our code. So let's do something. Let's vim into our file 3. Okay, file 3.txt. Okay. So setting right here. Okay, so let's add some things into it. Yeah. So yeah, we've actually added something to the file 3, but here it cannot, or it will not appear here. Why? Because we've not done the necessary things that we would have to do. So when we do git status, we can see we modified file 3 right here. So we can add it here. We can commit it with some blah 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 messages. Yeah, and then we can actually push it again to origin master. Yeah, I still have access to the token that we generated. So let's go and check whether sorry again, check whether. Okay, so we can actually see here it came here. Okay, so that is it. And then here we are working on the master branch. Okay, so we have branches. Yeah, as I said earlier, branches simply means the folder, or yeah, the master is actually the default folder which every project actually works in. Okay, and then when we come here, we can do git log to see our commits. So these are all the commits we did previously. Okay, so our first commit was done 447, which was done by the author Kwame. I did it right here. Okay, so all these, and then the commit message that we gave are all here. So this is one of the benefits of of GitHub. So we can keep track who modified it, when it was modified, what actually was added. The commit message will actually say that, since it's a meaningful one. And then we were working on the master branch, the origin, that is the name of the repository, and then we were actually working on the master branch too. Okay, so you see, we can actually reset commits. Okay, so let's do something. Let's echo some chunks into file 3.txt. okay, and then let's do git let's do git status first to see what's actually going on. Yeah, so we can actually see we've modified file. Let's add it, then let's commit it with some blah 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 messages. We've made this commitment. Okay, so let's do git log to see whether we would have this commitment. Okay, yeah, so this is what we did right now. Okay, when we want to remove these commits, let's say our previous code that we did, we actually want it that way. These commitments that we made has brought a whole lot of errors in or bugs in our project, so we want to actually remove this commit and then get back our previous code back. So we can actually do that by the git reset. So we can copy this URL, also this code. So we can do Control Shift copy and then do git reset and then paste this. So you can see we unstage this after reset. We unstage this file. We can do git status to see what is actually going on. So you can see we unstage it, right? It was committed earlier, and then right now we've unstaged it from the git this one. So we can do something called git stash. Okay, save working directory and index value master blah blah blah. So we've actually let's do git status to see what's going on. So you see, we didn't commit this modified file, but when we did the git stash and then we did the git status again, it's actually telling us there is nothing to commit. What did we do? We actually unstaged this file, and then the git stash is actually taking this file. Okay, so let's take this scenario. Let's say there is a wedding and then people are taking pictures, and then the moment you are being staged, that is the git add. When the picture is taken, that is the git commit. Okay, so let's say when we added this file and then we committed it, but now we don't want this this picture again, so we resetted it. Okay, we resetted it, and then right now it was actually on the ground, and then no, we don't want to modify this file again, and then we don't want Git to also keep track of it. Okay, so that is why we stash it. So let's say we sent these files to backstage. Okay, yeah, so these files are actually waiting on backstage for us. We can bring them back too. Okay, we can bring them back by doing git stash pop. Yeah, and then let's do git status. You see, we can actually see the file right here again. So right now Git is actually keeping track of it again. So let's stash it one more time, and then we can clear it from the stash too by doing git stash clear. So the status working on clean files, there is nothing to commit. So this is where we would end our file right here. So that is basically about version controls using Git. Now you have pull request right here and then here. So pull request basically helps us or let us send requests to, let's say, open source projects where you can hear all these projects we can actually contribute. They are all open source projects, okay? So we can actually fork this project. When we fork it, we host it on our local machine, we make whatever changes. We can actually create a different a different branch for it. We can name it whatever branch we want, okay? We do that by the command git branch, and then you specify the name of the branch. You check out the name of the branch. The checking out simply means changing the head from the main to whatever branch that you created locally to host it. So it's actually a good practice to have a different branch when you are actually contributing to an existing project. So here is where we would actually end today's episode or lesson. See you next week. Bye.